Shalom, beloved family. It's your girl, Sophia Spiritualite, and this presentation is the first lesson of our capstone course on Rhabdomancy 101. This course will be happening on September 3rd, 2022 at 3 p.m. It's going to have a video lesson followed by a live Q&A. We'll have a bunch of ebooks and, of course, lifetime replay. If you're interested in signing up for the course, please go to fruitsandspirit.com/courses or just fruitsandspirit.com and you'll see the capstone course link there right on the top of the homepage. Of course, if you leave your email address, you'll get $5 off of this course. And this course is going to be on replay. So if you can't make it on Saturday, you will be able to get a full replay of the both the class session and the Q&A. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, shalom, beloved family. This is the first class, uh, the first course that I'm teaching. It's Rhabdomancy 101. And the first thing that we need to talk about is the obscuring of Rahab. And that'll become clear, very, very clear in just a few moments. So let's start with how I even came to this. This is I was looking into dowsing, right? And I said, well, what's the technical name for it? Because everything has a mancy. There's necromancy, there's geomancy, there's acromancy. Everything is a mancy. So I'm looking for um the mancy name for dowsing, right? The specific name. And so this is where I found it. This is you can't see how many pages down, but this is about 5 pages down into my search for um dowsing. I come to this word rhabdomancy, and of course you can see just on this page that the druids were heavily involved in this because everything with dowsing, there's always something with druids here, like you see under the Tesla article. There's druids, so I knew that automatically. I knew that dowsing had something to do with the druids, and I knew that the term rhabdomancy was being obscured for some reason um, that was basically unknown. So when I saw the word rab the part, rabbed, I instantly thought of Rahab. And I didn't know a lot about her story, but I remember hearing about her. I've read the Bible front to back, so I did that as a young person. So that term, that Rahab part, really stuck out to me. So let's quickly read the story of Rahab. We're not going to read the part where they come and save her. We're just going to read the first part. So this is Joshua chapter 2. It is the King James Version. Okay, so we'll start with verse 1. And Joshua, the son of Nun, sent out of Shittim to two men to spy secretly, saying, Go, view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into a harlot's house named Rahab and lodged there. It was told the king of Jericho, saying, Behold, there come men in hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be, become to search out all the country. And the woman took the two men, hid them, and said thus, There came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. And it came to pass about the time of shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof of her house, and hid them in the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords. And as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof. And she said unto the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us. and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you, when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites, and that were on the side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and the earth beneath. Now therefore I pray unto you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that ye will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token, and that ye will save alive my father, and my mother, and my brethren, and my sisters, and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. And the men answered her, our life for yours, if ye utter not this our business. And it shall be, when the Lord hath given us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with thee. Then she let them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the the wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. And she said unto them, get you to the mountain, lest the pursuers meet you, and hide yourselves there 3 days, until the pursuers be returned, and afterward may ye go your way. And the men said unto her, we will be blameless of this thine oath which thou hast made us swear. Behold, when we come into the land, thou shalt bind this line of scarlet thread in the window which thou didst let us down by, and thou shalt bring thy father and thy mother and thy brethren and all thy father's household home unto thee. And it shall be that whosoever shall go out of the doors of thy house into the street, his blood shall be upon his head, and we will be guiltless. And whoever shall be with thee in the house, his blood shall be upon our head, if any hand be upon him. And if thou utter this our business, then we will be quit of thine oath which thou hast made us to swear. And she said, according unto your word, so be it. And she sent them away, and they departed. And she bound the scarlet line in the window. And they went and came unto the mountain, and abode there 3 days, until the pursuers were returned. And the pursuers sought them throughout all the way, but found them not. And so the two men returned and descended from the mountain, and passed over, and came to Joshua the son of Nun, and told him all things that befell them. And they said unto Joshua, truly the Lord hath delivered our hands all the land, for even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us. Selah. So I would I'm gonna do a Bible section of the in one of the upcoming sections. So I don't want to go into this in too much detail. However, I do need to point out a couple of things because number one, first of all, um, let's talk about this red rope. So as she said that they knew all the things that had happened, verse 10, to the other countries, and then she let them down by a cord, which is a rope. And it says that it's the same one, but actually, as we'll discuss further in later lessons, that um, in the Hebrew it doesn't say that they're the same thing. It says that one is a string and one is a rope. And immediately, because I had come upon this information from looking at dowsing, I immediately said, "Oh, the string must have been her dowsing string," because why why would she have a string? I mean, she could have a rope, that's different, but why would she have a string necessarily if in fact this person is a prostitute? Well, what would she have a string for unless she was using it um to do to perform some kind of ritual, some type of ceremony. So, um that led that part of it made me think that there was more to the story of Rahab than I had thought. So now let's discuss another way Rahab is obscured. So if we look at Matthew chapter 1, 2 through 17, which I'm not going to read all of this, but I am going to read verse 5, which is, and Salmon begat Boaz, of Rachab, and Boaz begat Obed of Ruth, and Obed begat Jesse. Okay, so in this particular version, Rahab is spelled Rachab, right? And Rahab and Rachab in this uh, thing are typically pronounced the same, which we're going to get to. So when you look up Rahab, I did a search. I don't use Google, I use Quant, and so this has Rahab or Rachab, which is wide, right? And this is Bible study tools. But if you look at the Bible study tools, it doesn't say Rahab or Rachab. It just says Rahab. This is so why would they obscure this so far? Because now you have, Matthew having it being one way, and again, I don't know what the language that this was written in, because that may or may not have something to do with it. I'm not sure if this was in Hebrew or Greek or Latin. I have no idea. I'm sure I could find out, but I'm just trying to make a point that you have Rahab here in this story. And of course, everyone always says she's a harlot. We'll get to that in a few minutes. And then here you have Rachab, who was married to Salmon. And Salmon was a huge king. So, again, why would they obscure this Canaanite living in Jericho, having been married to Salmon, who is in the line of Jesus? Because this, Matthew 2 through 17, is the line of Jesus. It's the 14 generations. This is extremely important to understand. The 14 generations, how you get from um, Adam to um, well, it says from Abraham to so not Adam, from Abraham to Jesus, which is 14 generations. This is extremely important information here, and they've obscured Rahab and called her Ratchet. All right, so I already discussed these two. All right, so let's look at this a little bit more. This is from a Hebrew explanation of the term Rahab, right? And so I'm not going to read all of this. Let's see. I'm going to read the middle paragraph. But the Rahab, who Matthew famously mentions in the genealogy of Jesus as the mother of Boaz of Bethlehem, is spelled Rachab. Most commentators will report that Rahab in Christ's family line is converted Rachab, the prostitute of Jericho, but that is by no means certain because Matthew uses other versions of the name Rahab, which we'll talk about more in the terms and definitions. In English, these names sound the same, but in Hebrew and Greek, they're as different as Johnny and Ronnie. And if Rahab of Jericho had married someone important, such as Solomon, the great grandfather of King David, we would have surely known about it at some point in 1500 years or so between Rahab of Jericho and Matthew. Paul says is that Rahab's faith kept her from perishing along with the rest of the disobedient townsfolk. If her survival would have given her the opportunity to become the ancestor of Jesus, Paul would have likely made a note of that too. Well, how do we know? This goes back to I hate to redo some of the research by the other family members, but this goes back to the fact that we don't know anything. They have edited our books so much, and they have taken so much out, and they have changed so many things that we have no idea what Paul said. We have the watered down version of what Paul said. But the question here again, why would they obscure Rahab so much? Why would they, instead of calling it Rhabdomancy, which would make sense, because every other divination is a mancy, right? So if she was using, if rhabdomancy was something that was coined among the females as a result of her, you know, um, because as I'll discuss in the theology segment, Moses also did dowsing more, but he didn't really do dowsing. It was more like geomancy. So this is why I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird, like just coming across all this information. So let's look at this. Was Rahab a harlot? Now, mind you, let's go back to the Bible version, right? It never says that she is a prostitute, which in other Like for example, when they're talking about Mary Magdalene, they do specifically refer to her as a prostitute. But here they just say Rahab was she just dwelt in the wall, right? She dwelt in the wall above the town hall. Now let me pause on that for a second. So she dwelt in Lord, some of this stuff is so insane. I don't know how people are how they have been able to get away with this. So think about this. When you go to a maybe in some states, when you go to a town hall or a capitol, are you more likely to find a prostitute den above the town hall, or are you more likely to find a hotel, an inn where the people who come to do business in the town hall stay? Which of those sounds more likely? Now, will you find prostitutes? Absolutely. But what is more likely? What is closer to the town hall? An inn, usually, or a den of prostitutes? I just want you to think about that. Number one. Number two, what kind of den of prostitutes has one prostitute? They never talk about there being anyone else. However, when you go to an inn or a bed and breakfast, would they be one owner? Could there be one owner? Would it, I mean, likely, eventually, if it's in a secure location, maybe if it's one woman who owns the place, which is a whole nother thing. This makes her a businesswoman that, again, more obscuring of women in business in the Bible. But nevertheless, if she is a businesswoman, wouldn't it be likely she could be there by herself? Number one. Number two, wouldn't it be likely she had rope? If case there was some kind of intruder, she would tie them up. Number three, wouldn't it be likely, given the information we know about how the Gentiles operate, meaning that they go to different places to get different healings from different healers all the time, wouldn't they want to keep their person that uh does the readings, quote unquote, for the city? Wouldn't they want to keep her close to the town hall? Do all of those things make sense, or does it make sense that she's a prostitute? All right, so let's get to that whole prostitution issue. Let's start with this, but I have some more information about that too. So, we're going to go through this sparingly, right? In the book of Joshua, Rahab, a heroine nonetheless known as Rahab the harlot, assisted two Israelite spies escaping out of a window and down the city wall of Jericho. Who was Rahab in the Bible? A biblical prostitute or just an innkeeper? Did she live on the wall of Jericho or within it, in what was known to archaeologists as casemate wall? All right, so let me go to the next page. Second paragraph. So, what do we know about Rahab the prostitute? The harlot, was she a biblical prostitute? The biblical text identifies her as a whatever word, a prostitute, but she seems more like a landlady. Indeed, the first century CE historian Josephus reports that she kept an inn. The consonants that comprise the word prostitute are Z and H, which are the same consonants that comprise the Hebrew word for a female who gives food and provisions. An innkeeper. The text doesn't describe Rahab's profession negatively as one might expect from a description of biblical prostitutes. The lifestyle of Rahab in the Bible continues to elude us. No, it doesn't. Not if you know how to read the signs. All right. So let's see. In the late Bronze Age, I'm starting in the middle of the page. In the late Bronze Age, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, the sixth line down. In the late Bronze Age, the time in which the story of Rahab in the Bible was set, thick defensive walls were common. People could conceivably have lived on them. But during the Iron Age, too, period 6th century BCE, when the book of Joshua was thought to have been edited, pause, pause it. They edited the Bible in the 6th century, in the 6th century. So we have no idea what it actually say because they edited it as far back as the 6th century and they have not stopped editing it yet. If you don't believe me, go and read the NLT translation. All right, anyway, moving on. Israelite settlements were often surrounded by a casemate wall, which comprised of two parallel walls with periodic perpendicular walls forming casemates or rooms that people live within. Analyzing the Hebrew words for within the wall, which describe the residence of Rahab the harlot, along with the chronology of defensive construction in ancient Israel, Friendo suggests that Rahab lived on the wall. Friendo proposes that an editor change the Hebrew to reflect that Rahab lived in the wall of Jericho within a casemate wall rather than on top of a thick defensive wall to make the text understandable to people in Israel during the late Iron Age. Let me just point out that their editing of the Bible to make it understandable to people, this description sounds exactly like why they made the NIV, why there's 10 million versions, because they want you to understand it. When in fact, if they just told the truth, people would get it. Okay? So, actually I do have to discuss one other point which for some reason didn't make it into my post right here. So let me all right. So let's discuss this term harlot, right? Okay. This is our etymology dictionary, which I often refer to. So in this version, this is from 1872, remember. So, not originally appropriative to a female, nor even a person of a bad character. It seems to have signified a young man from a young man, a youth, a stripling, then to have acquired a sense of loose companion. So at first it referred to a young person, which other research done by the brethren means that it was a young person would have been a person who was not of childbearing age. So this could have been in other explanations, which I'll talk about later, said that she was up to 40 years old or so on and so forth. So the whole point of the matter is when they're describing her as harlot, they're just talking about a woman who was of childbearing age. Again, why is that important? Because if she was of childbearing age when they came to Jericho, it is conceivable that she was married or with had that was betrothed to King Salmon, right? Because this person, Rahab, she lived on top of the town hall. She was a landlady. She was an innkeeper. She provided food and provisions. She was also one of the diviners for the community. And therefore, she would have been someone that a king would have wanted to be with, especially if she was the only one who was able to be saved out of this town of people in Jericho for her faith in the Most High and demanding that they enter this covenant with her because she showed them kindness first, then she asked for the covenant. She didn't, oh, I'm not doing nothing for y'all until. Da, 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 da. So, in conclusion, because I don't want this video to go on too long, or I'm gonna try and wrap this up. Let's retell the story of Rahab really quick. So, and let's make it make sense, right? So, in the story of Rahab, you have an innkeeper, a businesswoman who lives on top of the town hall, who is a diviner. And as a diviner, she knows that something unusual is going to happen to her today because through her dowsing or whatever other technique she uses, she has determined that, the spirits have let her know that something unusual is going to happen today. Because once you get into dowsing, rhabdomancy, as I prefer to call it, you begin to understand that the spirit will let you know when things are going to happen. Because you ask the questions, you ask yes or no questions with your pendulum, and you get answers that make sense. So therefore, she knows something is coming. She's familiar. She's already probably aware that her city is going to be destroyed. And she's, just based on the fact that everybody knew about the Israelites, what they were coming through and doing, how they handled themselves, how they carried themselves. And therefore, she wanted to, have a way to save herself. And so she more than likely asked her spirit, her angel, you know, is there a way that I can get my family saved from this situation? And the angel said, yes, we'll make a way. Don't worry about it. Okay. So these two strangers come. She immediately knows this is it. This is how I'm going to be able to save myself. She hides them. And Israelites have a look about them, us. dark skin mostly. Maybe they sent the lighter skin ones. Whatever the case may be, they have a different look about them. They don't look like everybody else. So she immediately knows these are the people. Okay, here's my chance. So she takes them, she hides them on the roof, which she already prepared. Imagine this. She already has the roof prepared with reeds, which, if you know anything about Druid history, our Druids and Druidesses, reeds are a hugely important tree to the Druids. So she already has the roof prepared with reeds to hide them, right? Again, if she's living in the wall, then there's a roof. So, therefore, she hides these men. Then, as soon as the immediate danger is gone, she's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. I need to make a deal with y'all. I've shown y'all kindness and hid y'all. She didn't give them the whole thing though. Now watch this. She didn't give them the whole thing of how they were going to escape. She already knew it. She had the information. She didn't give it to them. She said, I want to make a deal with y'all. I know who y'all are. I know what y'all are finna do. I need to make a covenant. I need to make a deal. And I have a lesson on covenants and consecration. You can check that out on YouTube. So I need to make a deal with y'all. I need y'all to make a promise to me. I'm gonna get y'all out of this situation. But when y'all come to this town to take everybody out, please don't take me, leave me, my father, my mother, my brothers, and my sisters, and all our family. Let us live. And imagine this. They say, okay, that's fine. As long as you don't tell anybody what we do, we won't tell anybody. Um, we will allow you and your family to live. But here's the thing. You all have to be all in this place where you're at. So think about this. If they tell her she has to have her whole family in one place, and she's just a prostitute that lives on the walls, would they all have been able to fit on a wall? Or does it make more sense that she's an innkeeper and they say you have to bring all of your family into these rooms that you rent out? Which one makes more sense? So she agrees to it and she says, okay, that's fine. I agree. And they say, okay, well, we will know not to do this. You put a red string, not you put a red rope. We don't know whether it's rope or string when they come back. The Bible says rope. It could very well mean string, but let's say it says string. You put your red string out. Again, why did they know it was red? She probably told them. I mean, that's information unfortunately we don't have. Because it's been edited, right? So, but let's assume that they know she has a red rope because she lowered them down with a red rope. So let's imagine that it's a rope. Just put the rope out the window, this red rope out the window, and when we come to the city, we won't kill your people, right? So she says, okay, that's fine, I understand. Then she tells them once the covenant is sealed, like a good deal maker, like a good businesswoman, once the deal is sealed, she says, okay, so here's what y'all gonna do. Stay here until the night, stay here for the rest of the night, hide on the roof. Then go out to the mountains, stay in the mountains for 3 days. Then when those people who went looking for you come back, by 3 days, they'll be back because she knows how long it takes to get places. Y'all can go head on about your business. And they agree to that. The deal is sealed. End of this part of the story. So, again, I tell you, or I ask you to consider to yourself, why would they hide Rahab? Why would they hide her? Now, I don't have proof of this. This is just my assertion. Number one, they don't want you to know that the women are the real diviners. The women are the more accurate diviners. You have all these stories of men that want to obscure any women, especially women diviners. Although from what I have been researching, it seems like all the women in the Bible were diviners. Every last one of them that they mention, that they leave in. The ones that they take out, I mean, surely they were huge diviners, but some of them they had to leave in, right? So these women were diviners, right? And so they don't want you to know that. Number two, they don't want you to correlate. dowsing, divining via a string with someone in the bloodline of Jesus, because that would have been something that was passed down. And they don't want you to correlate with divining, which is outside of the realm of the church, which you do directly, is a direct communion with the Spirit with Jesus. They don't want that to be known, that they completely obscured her from his actual bloodline. Number three, they don't want you to know that women did business. And the business that they did was not prostitution only. Maybe they did some, but was not only prostitution. So, in order to obscure that, they obscured the term harlot, which harlot is not even used in the King James Version. Whatever version it's used in, they change it to harlot. They make you think that she's a prostitute instead of a businesswoman with her own inn in the wall on top of the town center. Basically, she was a very highly regarded woman within the town if she was so close to the town hall, because it's by class. Like, it's just like if you go to DC, that's where I'm from. The people who are the most important, they are very close to the city, to the they're very close to the city, and the ones who are less important, they put them on the outskirts. So if you're right on top of the town hall, you practically running the town. In the background, maybe not out front, but you practically running the town. And so you have the complete obscurity of Rahab and her divining, her business, her genealogy in Jesus. She's just completely just left out. And so this is just a very small portion of the information that you will get. This doesn't even go to how to doubt. We haven't even got to how to doubt, how to actually perform the art, which we will get into as we go along our capstone course. I just wanted to get this information out to the family members so that they are able to, if they haven't, please go on to the website, fruitsandspirit.com. Sign up for the course. It's literally only $39, and you get the lifetime replay of this particular course. And we'll have a lot more information on there, which I will be presenting little pieces of it from now through the end of the week. So, to the spirits who are here with us, you're invited to go in peace. To my beloved family, you're invited to be at peace. And always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom.